Welcome to the Royal Report. This week's top story, Marvin Bagley's dad has requested that his son be traded from the Sacramento Kings. Barry, who's winning in a game of one-on-one, Coach Bagley or LeVar Ball?
I think I'd be more excited for a boxing match. At least we see one of them get punched in the face.
Check it out.
What's up, Kings fans? Welcome to another episode of the Royal Report, a sports talk show centered around your Sacramento Kings. If it's your first time to this channel, make sure you subscribe. And if you enjoy this video, drop a like and a comment below.
On today's episode, we'll get you caught up on the Sacramento Kings previous week. De'Aaron Fox is out, Rashaan Hinds is breaking out, and Coach Bagley wants Marvin out. But we begin today with highlights from around the league.
Another exciting week of NBA action. Steph Curry and Bradley Beal both post career highs. Steph Curry scores 62 on Sunday in a win against the Portland Trail Blazers, and Bradley Beal scores 60 on Wednesday night against the 76ers. Becky Hammon becomes the first female acting head coach after Greg Popovich is ejected. Spencer Dinwiddie and Markelle Fultz are both out for the season. James Harden, Karl Anthony Towns, and Ja Morant are all sidelined with injuries, while Kevin Durant is out in COVID protocols.
Yeah, hats off to Becky Hammond. First of all, major accomplishment there. Steph Curry, hard to believe that he's never scored 60 in a game. I realize it's 60 points, but I just felt like Steph would have gotten there at some point. But how about the Milwaukee Bucks? Big win this week over the Miami Heat on the road, 144-97. They set a new NBA record for three-pointers made in a game with 29. And Barry, the Knicks are relevant again.
Wow. No fans for James Dolan to kick out. That must be a catalyst for success.
Somehow it's working. The Knicks are 5-3 now. They already have wins this year over Indiana, Milwaukee, and Atlanta. And Julius Randle is playing out of his mind, averaging 23 points, 12 rebounds, and 7 assists per game. He also leads the league in minutes played at 38.6 per game. And not too far behind him, second in the league in minutes played is RJ Barrett at 38.1. Also, the Philadelphia 76ers have jumped out to a league best 7-2 overall record. On that note, let's take a look at the standings.
That's right. The Philadelphia 76ers are at the top of the Eastern Conference at 7-2. Who knows when they'll play their next game, as a player tested positive during their game against the Brooklyn Nets yesterday, and they are currently in quarantine in New York. The Orlando Magic are in second place at 6-2. The New York Knicks are in fifth place at 5-3. And the Cleveland Cavaliers round out the top 8 at 5-4. The Atlanta Hawks have finally cooled off and they remain at 4-4. The Miami Heat have struggled to start the season without Jimmy Butler. They're at 3-4. And the Toronto Raptors are a surprising 1-6.
Out west, the Phoenix Suns currently hold the best record at 6-2. Right behind them are everybody's favorites, the Clippers and the Lakers. Surprisingly, Denver and Houston are bringing up the rear of the conference, and right in the middle of a jumbled Western Conference playoff standings are the Sacramento Kings, currently tied for fourth, improving to 4-4 after snapping a 3-game losing streak just a couple days ago against the Chicago Bulls.
Let's take a look at the last 3 games. The Sacramento Kings went 1-2 this week. On Saturday, they lost a closely contested matchup against the James Hardenless Houston Rockets. All 5 Kings starters were in double figures. However, they were unable to withstand big performances by John Wall and Christian Wood, falling late in the fourth quarter. On Monday, the Kings were blown out by the Golden State Warriors, giving up 37 points in the first quarter. However, they were only able to score 20 points on statistically the worst defense in the NBA. It didn't get much better as the lead ballooned to 25 points starting the fourth quarter. It's official, Draymond Green is back, and Kelly Oubre remembers how to make three-pointers. On Wednesday, the Kings returned back to glory and back home to Sacramento, winning against the Chicago Bulls and starting a 7-game homestand. Big injury news from that game. 5 minutes in, De'Aaron Fox leaves the game with tightness to his hamstring. Marvin Bagley had a wonderful game, made a couple 3-pointers, double-double, great performance. Buddy Hield struggled throughout, starting out 1 of 8 before finally making a 3-pointer with less than a minute left and getting fouled on the play as well. Big performance by Tyrese Halliburton, scoring 17 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists, 3 steals, and 1 block in his first game back since a wrist injury. He scored 15 of those points in the fourth quarter and had a 3-pointer and a steal with 11.7 to go.
Yeah, Tyrese came back just in the nick of time, right? To me, this last week feels like what it's going to look like when you have a young team that's trying to figure things out. You're going to have good weeks and you're going to have bad weeks. This was a bad week. They had a chance to steal the game in Houston. They let it get away from them late. Had more turnovers than assists in that game, which is really something to keep your eye on with Sacramento moving forward. They play much better, like most NBA teams do, when they're moving the ball consistently and getting their offense set by passing and setting plays up for other players. They just ran into a buzzsaw against Golden State. Steph is hot right now. The Warriors were shooting lights out. They shot over 50% from the field and 50% from 3. And the Kings just didn't come out ready to play in that game. That's the biggest thing, and that, I think, is what you have when you have a young team. They're going to come ready some games. They're going to come not ready some games. And you could see that even in the third quarter when the game was already over. The Kings came out and they actually started to play with a little bit more urgency. I thought the defense was starting to look a little bit better. They were at least engaged. To begin that game, they just had no energy. They were totally flat. And then they come home for some home cooking, and it was really a great time for them to play a team like the Chicago Bulls, who score a lot of points, but they give up a lot of points. And it was really a perfect opportunity for the Kings to reset, get things better, and they started moving the ball again. 30 assists in that game to only 7 turnovers. It was by far their best assist-to-turnover ratio of any game this season. Tyrese Halliburton, like you mentioned, played amazing in the fourth quarter. The guy continues to prove that no moment is too big for him. Barry, what's your overall feeling about where the Kings are standing right now?
You know, I'm feeling pretty good. Not as good as I felt last week, but I'm happy with 4-4. I can't think of the last time the Kings were 500, 8 games into the season, so I'm very happy with where they are at this point. A few things I think that they need to address to move on. First off, they need to get healthy. We just saw Tyrese Halliburton come back and De'Aaron Fox is out. It's yet to be known exactly the extent of that injury, but I'm hoping he'll be back soon. Other than that, I think they need to continue to develop. They need to run, they need to get in better shape, and they need to limit outside distractions. What about you, Cal?
Just keep swimming, just keep swimming, just keep swimming, swimming, swimming.
I would say my mood is even-keeled. The Kings are a young team. As we mentioned before, there are going to be ups, there are going to be downs. When you compare it to last year, they started 0-5. This year, they're 4-4. They've been competing. They've looked really, really good at times. They haven't looked as great at times. That Warriors game we're just going to take and throw out. But I'm happy if I'm the Sacramento Kings, if I'm Luke Walton, with where my team is. We've mentioned it before. They're trying to figure out how to win games. This is a process. So I'm not going to panic. I think you see it in the NFL a lot. There's a tendency to overreact from one week to the next. I'm not going to do that here. Nice and easy. They've got to get healthy, though, as you mentioned. De'Aaron Fox is a huge key to this team. That goes without saying. And on that note, we're going to move into our player spotlight with none other than De'Aaron Fox.
Fox, right back the other way. Oh, what a spin move by De'Aaron Fox.
It's no secret that De'Aaron Fox is the type of player that the Sacramento Kings as a franchise have been searching for a very long time. Incredibly talented, but when you actually break down the facts and look at his numbers, he still hasn't taken that final step to becoming one of the premier point guards in this league that we were hoping he would do in order to get himself to that perennial all-star level. Statistically, he's having a very similar season to the one he had last year, which is not a bad season by any stretch of imagination, but he's still not quite getting the type of results that we need. In my opinion, the biggest area that he needs to improve upon is his overall shooting. He's got to be the type of player that can get a bucket for the Kings at any time when they need it most. He's only shooting 42% from the field, 30% from three, and about 71% at the foul line. I would like to see him get those numbers up to 48 to 50% from the field, hopefully around 80% at the foul line. And on that note, it's been a big point of emphasis for him this year to get to the free throw line more, take more free foul shots per game. And while he's being very aggressive, he's definitely looks bigger and stronger out there. He's shooting 6 free throws per game this year, which is actually less than he shot last year at 6.7. So we just need him to continue to finish that progression off. He's very close to taking those final steps, but overall shooting is what's going to make the biggest difference for him because he can get by people at will. What he needs is that added outside shot that's going to make defenders respect him more so that he can then get inside and finish with a lot more efficiency and a lot easier.
Yeah, the fact of the matter is De'Aaron Fox is still the best player on the Sacramento Kings. The fact of the matter is the Kings play better with De'Aaron on the court. And the fact of the matter is if the Kings plan on making the playoffs and getting better, it's going to be led by De'Aaron Fox. He is the key to their success. I think De'Aaron's there defensively, but his offensive game still needs to take some leaps to get there and make an all-star team, become one of the premier point guards in the league. I know it's early, it's only 8 games, but he's down in points per game, he's down in rebounds, he's down in assists, and his field goal shooting, 3% shooting, and free throw shooting is all down. He needs to make some leaps. I think it can happen. He is the key to the Kings' success. And the fact of the matter is he just has to get better. We're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we'll be breaking down some predictions on the NBA awards for this season.
Welcome back. It's time to make some predictions here on the Royal Report. You know what that means. Barry will guess what will happen in the future, and Kingstradamus is here to tell you what will happen in the future. What do we got first?
Who's your MVP?
I think I'm going to have to go with Giannis here. 3 in a row, 3-peat.
Interesting pick. I'm going Kevin Durant. The Durantula is on a revenge tour this year, averaging 28 points a game, 7 rebounds, nearly 5 assists, and 1 steal right now. The Nets are going to be one of the top teams in the East when it's all said and done. Kevin Durant is your MVP. What's next?
Who's your defensive player of the year?
I think I'm going to have to go with Anthony Davis. I think he was robbed of it last year, but I think he'll finally get it this year.
I'm going Rudy Gobert, the big man, $200 million big man. Shout out to Miles Turner, I almost picked you, averaging 4 blocks per game right now and nearly 2 steals. That's not going to continue though over the course of the season, and his rebounds aren't high enough either at 5.5 per game. Rudy Gobert, 2.5 blocks, 13 rebounds a game, Defensive Player of the Year. Who's next?
Who's your most improved player?
I think I got to go Zion Williamson here. I'm expecting a huge year out of Zion. I know he had some injury problems last year. I think he's ready to do it this year.
The answer here is Christian Wood of the Houston Rockets. Sacramento Kings fans know him well. He seems to kill Sacramento every time out. 23 points per game this year for Christian Wood, 10 rebounds, 2 blocks, 1 steal. He is your most improved player. Who's next?
Who's your rookie of the year?
I think I'm going to have to go with the Homer Simpson pick here. Tyrese Halliburton, Rookie of the Year. He deserves it. Book it.
Kings fans are going to be very unhappy with me this year, but I foretell the future. Rookie of the Year is going to be LaMelo Ball. He's second amongst rookies right now in points, first in assists, first in steals, and he's going to play more minutes than Tyrese Halliburton down the stretch. Those numbers are going to go up a little bit. LaMelo Ball, Rookie of the Year. Last one.
Who's your NBA champion?
It really pains me to say this one, but I think it's going to be the Lakers again. They're clearly the best team last year, and they added 2 big pieces in the offseason in Sixth Man of the Year and runner-up. So I think the Lakers are winning the title, and I think Anthony Davis for Finals MVP.
Well, Barry, you finally got one right. The Los Angeles Lakers will win the NBA title in 7 games this season against the Brooklyn Nets. Anthony Davis taking over the reins from LeBron James, Finals MVP. Book 'em. That's all we got for predictions. We'll be right back.
Bagley showing the range. Marvin Bagley starting off on.
So that was a tweet sent out on Saturday by Marvin Bagley's father after the Kings fell to the Houston Rockets. It's led to a week of trade rumors. He's expressed frustration with Marvin's lack of playing time in the fourth quarter, especially closing out games. Calvin, how do you feel about this?
I'm going to say this is the first time and the last time that you'll ever hear me talk about one of the players' fathers. Frankly, I think it's a joke. Coach Bagley needs to understand every father wants their son to succeed. They want what's best for their son. Coach Bagley needs to understand that doing things like this does not help Marvin succeed. He needs to be a supportive father in every aspect of it. And frankly, it's just a joke to me. What Marvin needs to be concerned about is making it through an entire season healthy and playing productively. That's the first step. Everything else will fall into place after that. There's never been a player in this league that everything came easy to him and everything fell exactly into place the way that they wanted. Even Jordan and LeBron, yeah, they're some of the most talented players of all time, but they still had to go through their own trials and tribulations to get to the place that they wanted to get to. And they're professionals. These guys are adults. This is how life is supposed to go. You have to figure it out on your own. You can't have stuff like this, antics like this on the side. It just doesn't help in any way, shape, or form. But enough of that. Let's move on and talk about one of the Kings' breakout stars, Rashaan Hinds.
2015-16 slam dunk champion. Oh, throw it down, big fella.
It's early on, but Rashaan Hinds is already posting career highs in several categories, including points, rebounds, field goal percentage, and free throw percentage. He's shooting a whopping 84% at the foul line. Rashaan just kind of feels like the glue guy to me for this team. When he's on the floor, everything seems to go well for them, and he kind of keeps everybody together and plays with great energy as well. However, that energy does also affect him negatively. He's averaging 4.3 fouls per game, which is way too high. He seems to commit a lot of early fouls too, which definitely impacts the number of minutes that he's available to play in games and can hurt him late game situations. Barry, how are you feeling about Rashaan?
I'm really happy with Rashaan's output this season. He's had 20 or more points in 3 games this year. He's also posted a plus or minus in the positive 5 out of 8 games this season. So happy about that. He always seems to be kind of down in the middle. I think this is a real breakout year for him. And I think he's an early contender for most improved player. So really proud of him, happy to have him. And I think he's silenced a lot of doubters in showing that he is a starting quality center in the NBA. That brings us to our next section where we will be answering questions from the fans.
Guess what? I got a fever. And the only prescription is more cowbell.
Just like Christopher Walken needs more cowbell, Royal Rebounds needs more questions from fans. Let's get the first one from the announcer.
Should the Kings trade Marvin Bagley?
I want to be absolutely crystal clear here. No. The Kings should not trade Marvin Bagley. First off, they're never going to get equal value. And second off, there's no reason to trade Marvin Bagley. He's a high upside player. He hasn't been able to stay healthy, but he's still under contract for this year, next year, and then he'll be entering restricted free agency, where either he can accept a 1-year small offer, or the Kings have the ability to match any offer for him. So, nope, I'm not trading Marvin Bagley unless I'm getting an all-star player back. What about you, Cal?
I couldn't agree more. There is no reason, as of right now, to trade Marvin Bagley. I think we got to remember, like we've talked about earlier, his biggest thing is just going to be getting through an entire season healthy and being productive so that we can see what a full-on year of Marvin Bagley is going to look like. It's in both the Kings and Marvin's best interest for him to stick this year out and continue to fit into the rotation. There's absolutely no reason to trade him right now.
Should Tyrese Halliburton be in the starting lineup?
The short and easy answer to this question is no. Does Tyrese Halliburton deserve to be in the starting lineup or another starting lineup on some other team in the NBA? Yeah, he probably has played that well so far. But the Kings don't need to mess with anything right now. Having a productive player at guard, particularly a point guard coming off the bench, creating shots for others, is very valuable right now in this league. You have to have a second unit that can come in and produce. And let's not forget, Tyrese is on the court in the fourth quarter, late in games. He's playing when it matters most. So he kind of is playing pseudo starter minutes anyway. And more importantly, you don't want to mess with any chemistry that's going on right now. Buddy Hield is struggling currently. The last thing you want to do is put him on the bench where we know he was frustrated in that position last year and make him more and more frustrated again coming off the bench. So there's no reason to start Tyrese Halliburton now. Ask me that question, towards the playoffs or start of next season, I might have a different answer for you.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think with the loss of Bogdanovic, the Kings really need some firepower coming off the bench. Right now, that's Tyrese Halliburton. I would consider moving him into the starting lineup if I felt Buddy Hield could play the 3 and be able to defend other small forwards in this league. I don't feel like he's able to do that right now, so I don't want to mess with the chemistry. I know Buddy's in a little bit of a slump right now, but I don't want to get in his head. I'm confident in him. He's our starting 2 guard, and Tyrese is doing a wonderful job coming off the bench.
Who you got, Kyle Draper or Mark Jones?
I'm gonna have to go with my boy Mark Jones here.
Who?
Mark Jones. I like Kyle. He does a great job post-game, pre-game. Not knocking on him. I'm just a Mark Jones fan. I love that he does nationally televised games. He's been talking about the Kings, spreading the word. I love it. Mark Jones, you're my guy. Keep reaching in the bottom of the bag, right where they keep the fries.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you again. I'm taking Mark Jones here. No offense to Kyle Draper. I think he does a fantastic job. But like you said, Mark has a lot more experience, I would say, in this area. He's done a bunch of nationally televised games. He sort of already has a rapport with a lot of the players. And like you said, him and Doug Christie seem to have a really good chemistry together. They look like they're having a lot of fun on every telecast. I got to go with Mark Jones.
Next question.
Proposed NBA expansion, Seattle and?
So the obvious answer here is Las Vegas for a lot of reasons. I'm going to go a different route though. I'd like to see another team in Vancouver. Keep it in the Pacific Northwest. I think it makes sense geographically for that division. Canada deserves another team. Vancouver's a great city. And if I'm being honest, I just really miss those old school Vancouver Grizzlies jerseys. So give me Vancouver.
Yeah, great choice. I miss those jerseys. Lots of fond memories going to Kings games and seeing those as a kid. So awesome pick there. I'm all in for NBA expansion. More teams, more basketball, more games to watch, more places to go visit. I'm all in. So I'm happy to hear that Seattle's being considered. I know they're missing their team. They've been really patient. I'm happy to see them get a team, especially one not named the Sacramento Kings. My second pick, I'm going to go with the obvious, Las Vegas. Destination place. They just got the Raiders. People love to spend money in Vegas. I'd love to go watch a game in Vegas. So I think that's a good choice.
Yeah, I agree with you. Las Vegas makes, I almost said Vancouver again. Las Vegas makes a lot of sense on a lot of different numbers. That's all the time we have for fan questions. We'd love to hear from you. As always, you can submit questions for next week's show by visiting our website, royalrebounds.com.
Don't miss the game tonight. Kings are taking on the Toronto Raptors at home, 7 p.m. Pacific time. I know Spicy P has been struggling. Let's throw some Mentos and some Tums on him, and let's cool him down.
Yeah, I think that'll work really well. For next week, the Kings have 4 games. They're playing Toronto, of course, tonight. They got 2 matchups with the Portland Trail Blazers and another game against the Indiana Pacers. Some tough games ahead, but they're in the middle of this 7-game homestand, so a great opportunity for Sacramento to try to string some wins together and move up the standings in the Western Conference.
Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next week, and go Kings!